Welcome back to the Key and Meng audio experience. I am Key. Meng is not here today. He is celebrating some big accomplishments in his family. So we're doing a solo episode today. And today we're talking about the importance of gaining clarity when it comes to making progress in any area of your life, whether it's finances, fitness, business, growing a personal brand, or even just working on your personal growth, right? And what I'm going to share today may sound cliche, but cliches are usually true. And the one cliche that I'm talking about is get clear on your goals. You hear it all the time, especially when the new year comes around or there's a new quarter happening in the year. So, quarter three, and people are setting different goals for that period of time. And they're saying, oh, set specific goals, know exactly what you're working towards, create smart goals. And you hear these things so often that it becomes background noise. And this is exactly why so many people end up staying stuck and skipping the clarity part. And it's not because they're not working hard, but they end up working hard on the wrong thing. And this comes from people viewing this simple advice as it being too basic. And we live in a time where information is everywhere. We can access anything we want in a matter of seconds. And the things that consume our attention or things that garner a lot of attention are typically the things that are flashy, trendy, and more complex. And it gives us this perception that we have a secret or we have a shortcut. So, proof of this is if you open up your timeline, you're likely going to see a new workout routine that looks flashy, looks cool, looks like it makes you sweat, looks like it burns more calories than something you may have been doing. You may see different business models that are coming out that you may want to try because it seems like a shortcut in order to either get you more eyes on your business, get you more customers, and just put you ahead of the game in some way, shape, or form, right? You may see new money hacks, new viral content formulas. What I've been seeing lately is like chat GPT prompts for viral hooks or just a package of viral hooks that gives people the sensation, the false sense that they are going to purchase these hooks and then all of a sudden make a post with the hook and their post is going to take off, and it doesn't necessarily work like that. So those are just a couple of examples of how these flashy things catch our attention. But at the end of the day, without clear goals, you end up chasing these shiny things, right? You end up chasing anything that looks cool, anything that makes it seem like you're going to have a edge on somebody else or be able to expedite your process. But if you don't have a clear filter on if it aligns with your goals or not, you're going to have the issue where you're trying these different things, but none of it is working or giving you the progress that you want because you aren't clear on your goal, right? You don't have any discernment regarding what you should and shouldn't do because you're not clear on what your end goal is. And with that, it's going to be hard for you to put your blinders on and tune out the things that don't apply to you and know what does apply to you, especially in this oversaturated market of information. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples. The first example is actually what inspired this episode. I was scrolling on Facebook and I saw a woman post asking a question about strength training. So I'll actually read you the post. So it says I started pushing hard in the gym, doing full body 3 times a week. Today was my cardio day and I pushed extra hard, but I've been reading that cardio should be low impact to recover from strength training. I'm confused. How am I supposed to get into shape? And here's the thing, based on reading this, one thing I immediately noticed is her confusion isn't really about cardio. The problem is she doesn't know what being in shape means to her, or at least she did not include that in the question. And at the end of the day, being in shape is going to be different for everyone. So we aren't really going to be able to say if cardio has to be low impact for her because depending on what being in shape looks like to her, she may want to do some higher intensity cardio Or depending on what being in shape means, she may not need to do that type of cardio, right? So it really just comes down to getting clear on your goal. So for me, being in shape looks like being able to run a couple of miles without having an asthma attack, being able to lift heavy weights, so being really strong on all movement patterns, so squats, hinges, single leg, lower body movements, being able to push heavy weight with my upper body, pull heavy weight, and having that translate to my daily life. So being able to handle any type of strenuous activity without worrying if I can do it or without worrying if I can keep up. For example, I was at a water park last year, and um, one of the activities at the park was to basically climb up a wall, and then once you get to the wall, you're able to jump onto this blob and then go flying into the water. But a lot of people weren't able to climb up because they didn't have upper body strength. That was something that I was able to do, and it was so fascinating because some people who looked like they were in shape weren't able to do it. So they probably think they're in shape. To me, looking at them, I don't think that they're in shape. Maybe looking at me, they don't think I'm in shape. So being in shape is going to be different for everybody. And once you're clear on what that looks like to you, you'll be able to have a more streamlined approach to what your plan is in order to get to your goal. You won't get pulled in to these debates like, oh, do I not do cardio because it's going to impact my gains? What type of cardio should I be doing? You'll have a little bit more discernment and a streamlined way to get to where you want to be, because now you know what your goal is, and now you can like clearly filter out what does apply to you and what doesn't apply to you, right? So that's one example when it comes to fitness, and we can even apply this to business. So a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, want to build businesses, but they're not thinking of the type of business that they want. They're not thinking of what they want their business to look like long term. They're not thinking of what their goal is with their business. They're just saying, I want to build a business. But you really have to figure out, do you want to build a business that gives you more freedom, flexibility, and you can work 20 hours a week? Or do you want to build a business where it's a multi-million dollar company, you have a big team, you're able to scale so that eventually down the line you're able to sell it? Those are going to be two completely different models. The way you go about doing each of those things are going to be completely different. The marketing is going to be different. The pricing is going to be different. Your skill set has to be different. You're going to have different tasks you have to do each day, each week, each month. But if you're not clear on which type of business you're actually trying to build, you're going to end up consuming so many different types of information that may or may not apply to you. And it's going to waste you a lot of time. You're going to try conflicting strategies. You're going to keep chasing all the wrong things that don't actually apply to your goal. And this is why it's so important to have a strategy that actually makes sense for your goal. But if you don't know your goal, it's going to be hard to know what strategy or which way you need to approach it, right? Same thing with money. Everybody says, I want to make more money, but how much more money are you trying to make? What is your goal? Do you want to make an extra $500 a month, or do you want to do $10,000 months? Both are going to be different plans, because making an extra $500 a month, you might need to just work more at your 9 to 5, right? You may pick up a couple of overtime shifts, or you may start a side hustle. But if you want to do 10K months, that might require you to start a business, to learn investing, learn different skills, start taking more risks. So if you don't know what your goal is, you're going to be taking in a lot of information that does not apply to that, especially on social media. There's so many social media posts that are like, do this to make more money, do that to make more money. But if you're not really clear on exactly what your goal is when it comes to money, you're going to end up wasting your time with these things that don't work for you. And you're going to wonder why it's not working, because it doesn't apply to your goal. You have to have that built-in discernment, and that built-in discernment comes from clarity on what your goal is. So here are 3 things that you can do today in order to really cut through the noise, avoid wasting your time, and really start making progress on whatever it is that you want to achieve by the end of the year, or at least get started on by the end of the year. First thing is get clear on your goal. Second thing is going to be build an action plan that matches that goal. I always revert back to fitness because it's the easiest thing for people to understand. So if you say your goal is to be able to compete in a powerlifting competition in the next 6 months, your plan to get there should be a program focused on squat, bench, and deadlift. Getting strong as fuck at squat, bench, and deadlift. There's no reason you're outside running marathons, running 10Ks, doing high rocks. There's no reason for that. You need to focus on getting strong at squat, bench, and deadlift, and that's what your plan should look like. All right. If you are trying to build a YouTube channel, trying to really get your YouTube channel going, get monetized on YouTube, there's no reason why you're creating content mainly for Instagram, like short form content, when YouTube requires long form content, right? So get clear on your goal and then build the plan and the steps that matches that goal. And then the third one is to commit to that plan long enough for it to work. A lot of people put together these action plans and say they're going to do something, but they try once or twice and they're like, oh, it's not working. It's not working because you didn't see it through long enough. So make sure you commit to the plan long enough for you to even see something manifest. And those are the top 3 things that you need to do. If you do those things, I promise you will see some type of progress in the next 3 months, in the next 6 months. And this applies to every single area of your life: fitness, business, money, your career, your relationships, personal growth, all of it. And if fitness is an area where you know you need more clarity, definitely check out the blueprint to look like you lift. This is specifically for lifters. If your goal is to build strength, build muscle, drop fat, and finally have a physique that reflects your hard work in the gym, this is what you need. Grab it in the show notes. It's just $27. Now, for my basketball players, all my hoopers, if you're serious about optimizing your performance on and off the court, that's where the Next Level Blueprint Performance Review comes in. This is a full breakdown to show you exactly where you stand, where you compare to high school, college, and pro level standards on specific basketball skills. And then from there, you're able to build a plan based on where you are right now, so you know exactly what to do to take your game to the next level. So if you're serious about doing this, grab it in the show notes. It's a free assessment. And once you do that, you'll have a structured plan on taking your game to the next level. With that being said, I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace.